A very good morning to everyone gathered here. I warmly welcome you all to the first technical session of the Vice Chancellor's Conference 2025. This session is centered on the theme Humaneness, the essence of a human being. Humaneness is the soul of our shared existence. It embraces empathy, compassion, and moral integrity, qualities that shape who we are and how we relate to the world. In an age increasingly defined by speed, competition, and digital detachment, this essence is quietly eroding. Today's discussion will reflect on why nurturing humaneness is not just desirable but essential for education, leadership, and society at large. The main focus areas for this session include understanding the scope of humaneness and how it touches every aspect of our personality, the importance of nurturing humaneness, the causes behind its decline in contemporary society, and why society ultimately stands to lose if humaneness is lost. The expected outcomes of this session are to reflect on the role of humaneness today and explore ways to nurture it in education and leadership. I would now like to introduce the panelists for this session. Our first panelist for the session is Venerable Nivatha Thero, Guru Thero of Jetavanarama Monastery, Sri Lanka. He is a spiritual teacher known for his work in youth education, mindfulness, and moral development. Through his talks and outreach across Asia, he encourages values like compassion, inner clarity, and purposeful living. Next, we have Dr. R. Balasubramaniam, Member HR, Capacity Building Commission, Government of India, a physician, development scholar, and founder of the Swami Vivekananda Youth Movement. Dr. Balasubramaniam combines grassroots experience with public policy expertise. He serves on the Capacity Building Commission of India and integrates Indian wisdom with contemporary governance. We also have as our panelist Professor V. N. Rajashekharan Pillai, Vice Chancellor, Somaya Vidyavihar University, Mumbai. An eminent educationist and former UGC chairman, Professor Pillai has led several top universities and authored over 200 publications. He currently heads education reforms in Kerala and serves as Honorary Chancellor of ICFA University, Tripura. This session will be chaired and moderated by Professor Dr. S. Jairam Reddy. Professor S. Jairam Reddy has held key leadership roles in several universities, including as Vice Chancellor of Sri Venkateshwara University. He has guided many researchers, published widely, and received national recognition for his work in science and education. He continues to play an active role in shaping higher education policy and institutional development across the country. Over to Professor Jairam Reddy.
Distinguished academic leaders, academic administrators who have gathered here for attending this conference. When Buddhist monk Thero, Dr. R. Balasubramanian, Professor Rajashekharan Pillai, invitees, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all to this Session 1 on Humaneness, the essence of a human being. Before starting the deliberations or interactive session, I would like to give a small introduction to the theme of the session. In an era marked by rapid technological advancements, global connectivity, and increasing individualism, the concept of humaneness, the very essence of being human, stands at critical crossroads. As Vice Chancellors and academic leaders, we are not merely stewards of intellectual development, but also custodians of human values that shape the moral compass of our institutions and solely at large. This session delves into the meaning of humaneness, the enduring relevance, and the concerning erosion of human values in modern times. Humanness, as you know, refers to the quality of compassion, empathy, kindness, and a sense of shared humanity. It embodies the ability to feel for others, to extend support without expectation, and to uphold dignity in interpersonal relations. Humanness is not a mere emotional trait, it is a moral and philosophical principle deeply rooted in all great spiritual and cultural traditions. Whether it is the ahimsa of Indian philosophy, Ubuntu of African tradition, they say, I am because we are, or the golden rule that echoes across faiths, humanness forms the bedrock of a just and harmonious society. Despite the illusion of hyperconnectivity, today's world is facing an unprecedented moral crisis. Humanness, far from being outdated, is more essential than ever. Why? Because from conflict zones to cultural polarization, the absence of empathy and the rise of intolerance have fractured societies. Humanness is the antidote fostering understanding, respect, and peace. In public service, governance, and corporate spheres, decisions driven solely by profit, power, or political expediency often neglect the human cost. Humane leadership is grounded in ethics, fairness, and inclusivity. Depression, anxiety, and loneliness are reaching epidemic proportions, especially among youth. Acts of kindness, compassion, and genuine connection are powerful tools for building resilient communities and emotional well being. Education is not just about producing skilled professionals, but about nurturing responsible, sensitive citizens. Humanness must be integrated into the ethos of our educational institutions, not as a subject, but as a culture. While technological advancement has enabled great strides in human development, it has also contributed to a decline in human values. A hyper-competitive culture driven by material success often sidelines values like cooperation, humility, and service. While social media connects us, it also distances us. Empathy and active listening are being replaced by virtual validation and performative concern. With constant exposure to violence, suffering, and injustice through media, people are becoming numb. The pain of others feels remote or irrelevant. From politics to cinema to sports, elevation of aggressive, self-serving personalities dilutes the influence of genuinely human figures. As Vice Chancellors, we hold a profound responsibility to shape not only minds but hearts, as was mentioned by speakers this morning. Here is how we can uphold and promote humanness. Embed value-based education across disciplines. Subjects like ethics, philosophy, and community service must be integral, not optional. Foster environments that reward empathy, inclusivity, and collaboration. Recognize and support students and staff who embody human values. Encourage students to participate in rural internships, social work, environmental service, and interfaith dialogues. Let them experience the dignity of service. Teachers must model human behavior. Training programs should emphasize emotional intelligence, compassionate communication, and membership. Institutional policies, from discipline to assessment, must reflect fairness, respect for dignity, and care for mental health. As the highest officials in academia, vice chancellors are uniquely positioned to influence the future direction of society. Let us remember that the ultimate purpose of education is not to fill minds with facts, but to awaken hearts to the needs of others. With these few introductory opening comments, I would like to request now the speakers to, maybe who will speak? You will speak? Yeah, please. When Pero will now address the gathering.
Thank you very much. Dear teachers, I would say, the wisest in India. You have served a lot to this society. But still, we have to discuss something. Because we all know that there is an elephant in the room. I know you don't have answers. Because you are on one side, and parents are on the other side. If you try to educate them with values, perhaps parents don't want that. They want results. Perhaps parents force you. They force you to produce results. Otherwise, they won't come to your organization anymore. Especially it happens in schools. That's what we discussed just before this inauguration, and just after this inauguration. We discussed with Sadhguru Sri Sai-ji. That's one of the biggest problems. But somehow we need to address this problem. Otherwise, as he mentioned, we will have educated people, and I would say we will have educated fools. What do you think? Who don't respect their parents, who can't recognize their parents, their elders, the society, goodness, righteousness, who can't distinguish between goodness and badness, and who don't know about righteousness, who don't follow any religion, which means philosophies, who don't respect any spiritual masters, leaders, who only respect electrons and protons, who only discuss about them. I also learned all these things. I became an aeronautical engineer, but I didn't want to practice that. I wanted to become a millionaire because that's what I got from the society. I'm really sorry for that because actually I missed my life. If you believe that I'm the happiest man in the world, if I say that, it's correct. Because I can be happy with anything. Whatever I have, I'm satisfied. But I have a good education. Before, I had only the education. Only the education. Therefore, I wanted everything. I wanted to achieve everything. I wanted to be someone in the society. I had those desires. I couldn't control those desires. Therefore, I started earning. When I decided to be a monk. I was in UK. And I had a business there. I earned a lot. I got married newly to a very beautiful woman because I wanted a beautiful woman, because I wanted to be someone. I wanted to be someone with the help of her beauty. Can you imagine that? Because I didn't know the truth of the world, the truth of the universe. I only knew how to fix an aircraft. And I was the teacher as well, because I wanted to start a business there. And I had been teaching for like 20 years, 20 or 15 years, I would say. And I had a huge knowledge. I could teach physics, math, and chemistry at the same time, on the same table, for A-level students. That's how I understood the Dhamma as well, because we should be very intelligent to understand these things. Anyway, I also learned all these things, but I didn't see happiness in my life. I wanted to achieve. I had many desires. Day in and day out, desires came to my mind. Goals and dreams. I read many books. Like you all recommend. I'm really sorry, I don't know whether this is relevant or not, but this is the root. If you don't get rid of the root, you won't solve this problem. We have solved it. In our monastery, we have many young people who are well educated and happy. They are very happy. They have everything. Everything means basic needs, but they are happy. They are ready to help the world. They don't want to conquer the world. Before they wanted, but now they want peace, harmony. They really want to help. To do so, we need to understand the truth. Desire, aversion, delusion is not the truth, ladies and gentlemen. But when our kids read books, they only get how to get a desire, how to make a goal, then how to achieve it. Then when they have a goal, they get attached to that and they try to achieve it. That's what they do in their life. They try to achieve it. When they can't achieve it, what do? We all know that there is a rate. Everyone knows, especially for students. There's a rate. I don't want to mention that, but I would say suicide rate. Well educated. They learn in campuses, but they commit suicide. Perhaps we can neglect that. But the problem is, 28 students commit suicide per day, only in India. Only in India, not in the world. That means every hour, we lose our son, one of our sons, one of our daughters. How can we bear that? I plead, if we can find a solution for this, if we can teach them how to control their desires, if it's okay to have a goal, it's okay. But if you can't control your desires, if you have many goals and if you can't achieve that, how do you manage it? Therefore, I strongly recommend if we can teach them about life with science, with maths, with other subjects, they will be happy. Perhaps they will be poor, but they won't commit suicide. They won't rape their mothers. I'm regret to say this. I regret to say this. I found many students, they couldn't control. Some parents came to me because we do counseling sessions. In last year, we have done 45,000 counseling sessions in our monastery. All together. Not only me, but also everyone. People have problems. They are well educated. They have problems. A mother came to me. She was crying. She told me that, Guruji, I will commit suicide if my son touch me again. What can we say? He is an engineer. What happened to this society? Matru Devo Bhava. Pitru Devo Bhava. Atiti Devo Bhava. Guru Devo Bhava. When do they learn that? And our culture, Indian, Sri Lankan, our culture is very rich of those values. But you need to do something. I plead, you can change this. You can change this. You navigate the world. You navigate the society. I know. You have every power to do that. This is not something we should think in our brain. Heart as well. We need to use our heart. How many children who suffer because they can't achieve their goals, because they don't know how to manage them. But we always encourage them to have goals. We teach them how to manage, we teach them how to create a goal. We recommend books that says how to create a goal. We ask them to move forward, but we never teach them, if they fail, how to survive. I have 1,000 stories to tell because they come to us. I'm not blaming you all. I'm not blaming the society. But this is the elephant in the room. Do we have any solutions for drugs problems? We don't have. But a Pathashala is a temple. A university is a mandir. That's why I told you when I spoke to you last time, Gurur Brahma. Gurur Brahma. Our teachers do that. Our teachers create creators. Inventions and discoveries are made. Our teachers are very rich in that. Our teachers can create it. Guru Vishnu, that's also correct. Our teachers teach how to preserve the world, how to maintain the world. And some of our gurus, some of our teachers teach how to destroy the world. I didn't mention that. I couldn't mention in front of you. Maheshwara is to destroy the world. Who invented atom bomb? Who invented missiles? Who invented these weapons? Teachers taught. And the last part, we forgot something. And that is last, but that is the most important one. We lost something. Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma. We couldn't teach that. We taught to create, preserve, and destroy, but we couldn't teach them how to become a Param Brahma. If they can create Paramatma in their soul, in their Atma, in their mind, they'll be happy, they will protect the society. Therefore, my request is, you can change this. Let's change it. If you need our help, we are ready to help you, because we love our children as you all love our children. You can change it, I can't, because my voice doesn't have that much power, but you have. You are a vice chancellor of a great university in India. Let's listen to our other speakers. Whenever you have a question, I'm ready to answer.
Thank you.
Namaste. I think Guru Thero has sort of laid out the canvas and very subtly called out the elephant in the room. I'm going to possibly amplify that elephant a bit so it's visible to all of us. All of you are academic leaders, vice chancellors, and we've been discussing this issue as though it's a problem of today. It's a problem of today's young people. I want to actually go back to my young days. More than 40 years ago, as a young medical student, in Mysore, we had a small hospital called ED Hospital. It is called Epidemic Diseases Hospital. And me and my fellow students, as third-year medical students, were posted to that hospital. I still remember that incident. One room was completely blackened out. Doors, windows were closed. And the professor who was teaching us diseases which needed isolation, he said, you must not forget to visit that room. As though it is a sacred pilgrimage for us to go inside that room. And then to make matters worse, he told us, when you go inside, clap. Open the door suddenly. Let light inside. Then you will understand the disease that you have to watch for. We were all thrilled, young 6, 17, 18-year-olds wanting to master the science of medicine. We went in only to discover a newborn baby was suffering from neonatal tetanus. Thankfully, we live in a generation where most of you might not have seen a tetanus, neonatal tetanus. And for us, the hunger was, the textbooks describe neonatal tetanus as the mildest stimuli can send the child into deep spasm. And the hunger was to watch that spasm in action, because our professor has told us that. So I would go open the door, another person would clap, suddenly somebody will hit the cot like that, and the child will go into a spasm. And we were so devoured by the monster called science that we forgot the suffering of that little baby in front of us. This is not today. So I think, let us not fool ourselves. We are also product of the same generation. That is the elephant in the room. And we want to change the future generation. That is why we don't have the legitimacy to change. And that day, night, it suddenly occurred to me that what I was doing was practicing medicine as a science, and I don't think I should be a doctor anymore. I wanted to drop out of medicine because what was not taught in our medical schools was compassion. What was not taught was empathy. What was not taught is seeing the spirit of the divinity in the child. What was taught was a human body suffering all the time. And that is the training we give to all our children, whichever institution that it is, because we make them specialized and competent in discovering what the world outside can give them, that we forget to tell them to notice the world inside. And today, fast forwarding, we complain that all is lost, but all was lost long ago. And we are also part of that lost generation. Only when we recognize that can we become the agents of change. So I decided to be audacious enough to call out every one of us. Because today's education, sitting at a very high level at the national situation, I shudder to think the number of young people who come taking the UPSC exams. The best of India take those exams, close to 1.5 million people, the toughest in the world. 600 to 700 qualify. And the moment we send them out of our academies, they go asking for a car, asking for a separate room, asking for they behave like a Raja without knowing the true Raja is the Indriya Vijayi, not anybody else. And we were never taught that in our schools and colleges. So I believe we are living in a generation where higher education is completely commodified. Why are you running away from it? If the US government cancels grant to Harvard, the rest of the world doesn't worry about societal loss in terms of the service they could do, but we are more worried about the endowment erosion that that institution will have. So the whole systematic degeneration of our universities as brands, honestly touch your hearts and tell me what your brochures talk about. Your brochures talk about placements. Your brochures talk about opportunity for jobs. Your brochures talk about a brand that you're building. And then you want the children to go out there and become sannyasis? I think let's not fool ourselves. There's a fundamental disconnect between the way our higher education institutions operate and the end outputs that we all want. So I think we have to call this out, have the courage, and go back to the enormous wealth of civilizational wisdom this nation has got, where it is always Vidyadhana. Vidyadhan was the priority. And if we do not reclaim the public good of higher education, you cannot really change the world, because systemically, even if a vice chancellor is brilliant, humane, compassionate, the child is operating in a system tomorrow where he's going to be wired to look at surviving in this commodified world. The world economic order itself is fundamental DNA, is shareholder benefits, not stakeholder benefits at all. We live in an economic model today where we talk about profit maximization. We don't look at benefit optimization. So our entire educational system drives this economic model. And that is why today you have students taking science and finance and masters in business administration and medicine and engineering. Whereas if you think of arts, not today, I wanted to join commerce. When I went and told my father after doing my 12th standard science, PUC science, I thought my father is a commerce graduate. He'll feel happy somebody is dynastically connected. My father was shocked. He said, you stood first in your school and science go bitbutu commerce gogtya, talakettidiya. In Kannada he said, are you mad? Because we undervalue humanities from a very young age. Humanities is what? It is born out of the humaneness that we're all talking about. And when we talk, we undervalue humanities. We don't want our children to go to humanities. Neither do we want humanities to come to our children. And I was fascinated a few years ago. A young man wrote an email to me. And he said, now AICTE has made internship compulsory for engineering students. So I would like to intern in Vivekananda Youth Movement. I thought, very nice, a lot of young people come. But what the next paragraph was the beauty of it. He was coming from Bombay. He said, I also understand if you work in your institution, we will get visa easily to the United States. I don't have the time now. Can I donate 5 lakh rupees and you can send the certificate of internship? Now, whom do you blame? Do you blame the child, the father who gives the 5 lakhs, or the universities in America which gives him admission because he's showing internship? So it's a systemic issue, and we have to appreciate that we cannot run away from the systemic issues by just talking about it in conferences. We must have the courage to say we will make education, reclaim the soul of education by making it first a public good. Second, bringing in humanities in a more deeper, embedded sense, the way Swami Vivekananda said, learning to control external nature as much as we can control our internal nature. That powerful statement which inspired many people like me and my generation, that they alone live or live for others. The rest are more dead than alive. Our universities must give this life-giving education, not death-generating education. And when we do that, then I think we're on the path of change. So I believe that if academic leaders, I have come to this conclusion, let us not glorify and say all our professors are going to become gurus. They are not going to become, accept the reality. At least can they become role models and mentors? We should also start one step at a time. Let us not go elevate. We can call them a guru, but the guru is a very deeply embedded systemic response of what a Gurukul facilitated. But at least can we look for people who can be a good mentor of a child, a student, can become a role model for that student. You can't be a doctor holding a cigarette in your hand and telling the patient, don't smoke, you will get cancer. It is not going to happen. Let's all understand that. So I think can you at least be guardians of your ecosystems? Don't look at yourself by the designations you carry in the vice chancellor post you want, the car that you should have, the house that should be this big. I see that every day in government. The struggle is not how can I serve. The struggle is how can I demonstrate my position and power. Simple things like what is the car allotted to you determines how high you are. Do you have a Ciaz? Do you have a ordinary car? And I sometimes wonder, how do we really understand this powerful change? So invest in faculty education, invest in keeping the faculty smiling. And the last point I want to make is look at students and society in completeness, together as one essential unit. A student embedded in the consciousness of society, and society embedded inside the consciousness of the student. Once you bring about that, magic will happen. And that is the day I think we can truly shape the destiny of not just India, but the world that we want to. Thank you.
Of course, I am not going to speak long because I have already spoken in the plenary inaugural session. Humaneness in higher education. Of course, I know that I am addressing my Vice Chancellor colleagues. I have been a teacher for the last 54 years. I consider Vice Chancellor as probably the oldest or most senior-most teacher in a university. That has to be the concept of a Vice Chancellor. And what is happening to the teacher in the higher education system, that is probably we have to worry about it. In our universities, what is happening to the teacher in the university system? When I say, I'm talking to the Vice Chancellor and higher education, but it applies to the entire teachers in the country. In the country, maybe in the world also. When we brought technology in education and all that, of course, we are all availing fruits of technology. We make use of it very effectively to get information and all these things. But I used to say that technology cannot teach, only teachers can teach. Because there was a feeling that even technology will replace teachers. When the printing was, when this internet, all these things came, we thought that the newspapers, printing, all these things will be over. But it did not really. It has come in a much bigger way, maybe much bigger in both sense, much bigger way. So similarly, technology cannot teach. Now we talk about artificial intelligence going to replace or getting replaced or already happening teachers. Is it really happening? Is artificial intelligence, does it teach anything else? I really doubt. Who is going to, probably what would be the opposite of artificial intelligence? I don't know, some later, maybe some sort of natural stupidity. I think natural stupidity. We should not ask human beings, we have, I mean stupidity in a very, very positive way. I think we should not lose our natural stupidity, natural instincts, okay, natural instincts in the way of artificial intelligence. We try to integrate artificial intelligence into everything. Definitely, it's very, very necessary for technology and all that. Similarly, when it comes to, of course, when we talk about humaneness in education, earlier two speakers very specifically mentioned about the humaneness, compassionate, kind, benevolent. All these things are some sort of synonyms for humane. But we should have a respect for the mankind, the environment, the animals, the sustainability. All these things are very, very important. University, of course, is a very specialized area universities are concentrating. Now it is getting more and more specialized in the way that they forget humanity, civilization, all these things as part of education. Our Indianness or humaneness in education, we have been losing not just now, as Dr. Balasubramanian mentioned, we have been losing it for several decades, not several decades, maybe almost centuries, we have been losing our humaneness in education. Now we are trying to revive through national education policy, very specific Indian connected Indian knowledge systems and all that. That also is definitely a very significant attempt, but that is also not going to be the end of it. So ultimately, what we need, for example, it's a Vice Chancellor's conference, I know. It's a very focused discussion session, and therefore we should concentrate on teachers. Why I say this particular point, I know that the Vice Chancellor says we are meeting almost every 6 months, we are all meeting here and there. So if you just look at the universities, 1,000, I have to say something about the universities also, because there are over 1,100 universities, Professor Sharma? 1,100 universities in this country, and 50,000, he was former AU president, 50,000 colleges in this country. We are going, as national education policy, we are going to convert all the 50,000 colleges which are existing in this country also into universities. Out of 1,100 universities in this country, around almost half of them are, no, less than half of them are public universities, and more than half is now private universities. What is the way, of course, I have served in the public university system in the country, in the public education system in the country for 43 years. After that, I went to the private university system. So what is happening, of course, in private universities also, we have to just look at. We are talking about humanizing education. We are talking about bringing interdisciplinarity in our education institution. We are talking about bringing doctors training, MBBS medical education in IITs. We are talking about bringing humanities, social sciences into technology education. But at the same time, what is happening at the policy level in this country? For example, when we talk about national education policy, which is a real ideal document for a lot of things to improve, but we see that the medical education is not part of the national education policy. Then even the medical education, even the for almost all the government departments, there is an education and training wing. And they are not part of the national education policy. Law education. We talk about individual decision making, all these things. Law education, legal education is not part of the national education, not at all part of the national education policy. When in the, of course, we talk about Benares Hindu University. These were all very famous universities of excellence. A university is a place which is open to ideas, open to people, and open to places. That is the real definition of a university. Now, I do not know, in Karnataka it still continues. Technology education is part of a technological university. Medical education is part of a medical university. Then all the other education is part of another university. I don't know whether there's an education university also here. In some of the states in this country, there is an education, teacher training universities are also there. But universities are not like that. Universities, for example, if you just look at Pandit Madan Mohan concept and the Benares Hindu University, whatever knowledge under the sun, it is delivered in the universities. Humanities, social sciences, Buddhist studies, Jainism, Dharma studies, civilization, Ayurveda, then aboriginal arts of the country. All these things are part of the education. If you just look at, of course, I am also part of the 1,100 university system in this country. If you see the universities, where are we going? We are going technological, skills university, one floor university, skills university, technology university. That, of course, there are several other names which Vice Chancellors know better than me. I think that is also that probably we have to think about on. I'm an incorrigible optimist. I sincerely believe that things will come effectively. But when we do things, we have to just empower. And then a university is a completely autonomous institution. What is the autonomy? It is not for the Vice Chancellor or the syndicate or the Board of Management. The autonomy has to be the teacher to go to the teacher who is teaching in the classroom, who is interacting with the students. And wherever autonomy is percolated down to the classroom teacher, that institution has survived. Thank you very much. I thought of just provoking some of these things. And thank you very much.
Now the session is open for comments, observation. Please give your name and yeah, Mike.
Good afternoon. I am Suresh Jangamshetty from Haveri University with an engineering background. I have questions for the monk here. Sir, switch off. One second. There is a technical problem with the mobile. Sir, I just wanted to know, does salvation happen self or by induction or mutual induction? Salvation, that is nirvana or the moksha. Because we are after the person who attained it a long time. Can attaining salvation be taught? This is one thing. But in my view, as a teacher, you all are addressing as a vice chancellors, as leaders of this thing. But as a teacher, do I need to wait for regulations or policies to speak or create humane approach inside my classroom? I can do it. I can go and speak about that. We are not addressing it right now. But what you said somewhere there, but can we teach that, the salvation? Thank you.
What a fantastic question. I thought that salvation is not relevant to this society. I'm really glad to hear that, because you can change. Salvation can be achieved in this life, in this very life. When you die, you never achieve anything. I'm really sorry. I'm talking about my experiences. Is that okay? Perhaps it's a little bit different to other opinions. I respect all opinions, but I will explain what I experience. We can achieve our salvation in this life. After you die, you can't achieve anything. If you believe in reincarnation, you will be reincarnated as something. I would say something because someone, which means can become an animal or whatever. If you don't believe in reincarnation, that's another matter. But the problem is, are you happy? I'm not asking from you actually. You need to ask from that your students. Because I'm not here to teach you. You are the teachers. You teach me. You taught me. And because of you, I'm here today. Because of all gurus, I'm here today. But let's think about our life. Perhaps you are in your 70s, 80s now. One day you will die. With what? Dignity. You have spent 100 years. You have spent 100 years, but after that you will die with what?
I would like my friends to be very brief because we have very little time left. Yeah, please.
Like how to go about benefit optimization in alignment with the dharmic civilizational values of Bharat?
Thank you so much for asking. I was hoping somebody would ask this question. I think the more we refuse to learn from the past, the less we'll be able to craft a future. But learning from the past is not romanticizing something and saying there were aeroplanes and plastic surgery. That's irrelevant for today. But what are the paradigms? The principal paradigm for me is, can we understand purusharthas from a pragmatic sense? Can we look at dharma as righteous duty and dharma and everything else as the foundation, but karma is real. Our students are not going to stop desiring, I'm being very pragmatic, just because you tell them. But can we ask them to desire the right things in the right quantities for the right amount of time? So that itself is a very, very great teaching we can start with. Because they can counter question you. Why do you want a salary? Why are you teaching for a pay? And we have no answer. Let's realize that he's going to get into it. But making money, artha also is dharmic. Can you make it ethically? Can you make it with empathy? Can you make it with societal good? Can you have a purpose higher than yourself to generate that artha? Can your karma be to serve the world and not just yourself all the time? And if we do this, we don't have to talk about moksha because that fellow will run away right now. You just say you will have freedom, freedom from everything else in life. Don't talk about freedom from all the problems, just freedom. And I believe that in the G20 declaration that we made in Delhi, where the Honorable Prime Minister gave a call, he fundamentally said these are the only way for society ahead. If you truly desire to sustain the planet, we have to have sustainable desires. Because today, greed is what has replaced need. Let's be realistic. Everybody wants the latest iPhone release. That's why iPhone keeps producing a phone every year. And they design your phone to last only 3 to 4 years. That is what is not benefit optimization. That is profit maximization. How many millions of phones can I sell every year? When you say benefit, everybody in this cycle of consumerism is also as a beneficiary. The manufacturer is, the seller is, the consumer also is. Therefore, I will see how much long can that phone serve you and not how early can I have you replace the phone. That is the benefit maximization economy. That can come only when I'm driven by the purusharthas to say protecting the planet, taking care of the people, the 4 Ps that the Delhi Declaration spoke about. And prosperity is a real demand. But prosperity not for just myself, but prosperity for everybody else in the world. That is benefit optimization. Profit maximization is only I. Benefit optimization is everybody except me. And finally, this world has to see peace. That peace, the journey begins with yourself, like Guruji said, it's that happiness that matters. But then if I am not happy, I am not going to make others happy. And if I seek my happiness in others' happiness, that's the solution. So I think Purusharthas is the foundation for change. And if we can actually teach our youngsters that, instead of algebra, along with algebra, trigonometry, calculus, and your medicine, I think that is a practical step forward. Because when they counter question us, a lot of people have questioned me and said, it's all nice, you went to the forest. You are an accident in nature. You are not the norm. Now, I keep asking myself, how do you make that the norm? We don't have to go to the forest. We can find our own inner forest everywhere. That's the only way.
Sir, I have one question. This is the country where we have seen Nalanda, Takshila, that type of education has given to the entire world and got a lot of name and fame and rank. That is one point. If you see the most of the revolutions, French Revolution and any revolution take, teachers have played a predominant role. Because of teachers only, all the revolutions are evolved. But now the transformation you can see, the parents are deciding the goals of their kids, the institutions are putting goals and targets and some objectives. The students are a lot of pressurized conditions are there. In earlier days, the parents are not pressurizing. But now because of technology, students are unable to listen the forefather, their teachings, their stories. They don't have time to listen. See, these are and liberalization, privatization, globalization, all are going service industry. Everybody is saying teaching is a noble profession, nobody coming for teaching. With such a sample, we are running the colleges, universities. Now you are saying a transformation. How can you achieve with these ground realities? That is my question.
Any specific person or anybody? I'll just take a 30-second answer and then others can take. I think don't be so ambitious. Why do you want to change the world? Just you change yourself, maybe next circle your family members. That's all I will say. Then you will understand how to change everybody else. Because that is the challenge. We have constantly said, when you're born, and then after a few years somebody comes home, you tell, others ask you, what do you want to be in life? And if he doesn't say doctor or engineer, we feel unhappy a little. So I think all of us are party to this. My belief is, after all these years of trying to think I can change the world, I have now come to the conclusion that at best, you can only begin with yourself and end with yourself. The moment you become a role model for yourself and others around you, change happens. So that's others may have a different view, but my view might be very narrow.
Sir, I have an observation. Is it working? Is it working?
It's working, madam.
Okay. You talked about the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. A little bit modification I would love to see in that. Brahma is for creation, Vishnu is for preservation and conservation, and Mahesh is for destruction. But when we interpret the Trinity in the context of education, I see Maheshwara as the quote, Savidya Vavamuktya. So Maheshwara, see, in order to create, just as Professor Pillai said, you have to unlearn certain things, to learn certain things. So similarly, destruction is also important, but Maheshwara actually conceptualizes welfare of humanity and the world. So when we say destruction of the evil, not of the good. So any education that frees you from biases, prejudices, evils is the incarnation of Shankara as the teaching taught. Second point that you made was about happiness. My point here is, and which I teach also to my students the first day they come to my class. What is happiness? Right from class 2, every student is asked to write an essay on my aim in life. And every student envisions himself or herself to be a teacher, a doctor, engineer. But they never say that the aim of life is happiness. So every time we look out for something to make us happy. We don't understand and we don't make people understand that happiness is not extraneous. It is a state of mind which you have achieved. Thank you.
Namaste to all. Myself, Professor Suresh Nargodar. I am acting Vice Chancellor of a unique university in the country, that is Rural Development and Mahatma Gandhi Rural Development and Panchayat Raj University. Since the discussion is on human education for a better world, I would like to place before you some of the initiatives which we have taken in our university to promote this among the students and faculty. We have a Sabarmati Gandhi Ashram in our campus, wherein every month we hold satsang involving all our faculty and students, wherein there will be a lot of discourses on Gandhian thought and philosophy. And also we have a Vivekananda statue on the campus, and almost every once in a month or so, we hold discourses about the philosophy of Vivekananda, and that has brought a lot of change in the attitude of the students, and it has helped to promote harmony among all the students and also faculty. And one more thing which we have implemented is that we have common hostels for all the boys. Of course, boys and girls hostels are separate. So it means that we don't have hostels, separate hostels community-wise. Whereas it is a practice in many universities, particularly in the state universities, that we have separate hostels for OBCs, SCs, STs, and general and all that. So that we feel that that is a source of dividing the people, particularly at that young age. And since we have common hostels wherein all community people stay together, eat together, play together, read together. So that has brought a lot of transformation in the students. And in fact, there was a proposal for us to construct separate hostels, but I opposed it, because I want, if at all you want to give money, we'll construct common hostels wherein all students belong to all communities shall stay together. So that has really brought a lot of change, transformation among the students. And we also made one day as a Khadi day. So all students, faculty, and all have to wear Khadi as to promote our village and Khadi industry, since it is a rural development university. So these are some of the initiatives which have brought very good atmosphere on the campus, and all faculty, students are engaged very effectively in study, research, and extension activities. This just I wanted to share with you. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I am Professor Karbamon, the Vice Chancellor of Martin Luther Christian University. Well, I think I'm so blessed and privileged to be part of this gathering. I had second thoughts of not coming, but I think I have learned so much from this conference, even just a few hours, because I've been to many conferences, but this is a conference with a difference. I was just sharing with my colleagues this morning over a cup of coffee. I said, this is a conference with a difference. It has meaning, it has essence, because we are talking of something real, you know? And I really liked it this morning when Guru here, one of the gurus here, had quoted Chaim Ginot's quotes, because I use Chaim Ginot's quotes a lot in my classrooms when he talks about the role of the teacher, that we are the deciding factor in our classrooms. We can be tools of torture, or we can also be tools of inspiration. We can de-escalate a conflict, or bring it down. We can humanize something that seems impossible. And that is, I feel, the role of a teacher. What Sir commented just now is very, very important. We cannot change the world. Values are refrigerated at the moment. I always say that values are put in a cold freezer. But I think a little bit that we can do on our own, change the students' attitude in the classroom, that is what we can achieve as professionals. We cannot change the world, but if we can change one soul, we can save one soul, I think that is our satisfaction and achievement. So I thank Guru, the monk, so much for your inspiration, and of course, all the dignitaries and dais, because it has really touched my heart. Because it's rare that we can listen to such things in conferences now. We talk about AI, we talk about machine learning, but we do not really talk about our roles as human beings, of how we can save the souls of our children. Thank you so much.
I am Professor Niranjana from Bangalore North University. Namaste. I want to highlight two things, sir. One, we all agree that our education should become more humane. But at what level you start? I feel it should be started from the primary level. Because unless you inculcate those habits, those ideas in the primary level itself, it may not serve purpose in the higher levels. This is what I feel, one. Second, yes, I totally agree with the theme, but as a Vice Chancellor, I know the practical difficulties of the realities also. Because now you appoint teachers only on the basis of IQ, their marks, and so many other considerations other than their talent, other than their humanness. When you are appointing him on other things and you are expecting him to be humane, is it really working? That is my question.
My name is Professor Basuraj, Vice Chancellor, Karnataka State Law University, Hubballi. I was so impressed the way in which our Professor Rashekar Pillai was discussing about the specialization of universities, what is called as monofaculty universities. When there is this kind of monofaculty universities are demarcated in the educational system, do we really think of integrating the values or disintegrating the values? In a regular universities, a multidisciplinary university, we have all kinds of disciplines, including philosophy, ethics, morality, medical, engineering. But now, especially in Karnataka, a trend has started that they are going to a micro level, identifying each discipline as a university. Maybe in few other states. It could be folklore university, it could be law university, it could be Kannada university. Now, when we see, our objective is to integrate the values, integrate the hidden values, including compassion as was suggested, compassion, empathy, the respect. I think somewhere it is disintegrating as a result of identifying these monofaculty universities. I think this is the right time, as NEP 2020 said, this is the right time to integrate the universities. And just giving up the monofaculty concept and coming back to the integrated concept to achieve our all kinds of values. Because we have been talking about values, culture. And there lies the problem of identifying and preserving and protecting our own culture and values.
I find after Banaras Hindu University, Satyasai Institute of Human Excellence is trying to concentrate on almost all disciplines.
Namaste, sir. This is Jaipriya. I'm coming from Mother Teresa Women's University, Kodaikanal, only state women's university at Tamil Nadu. Happy to be a part of this conference. When we talk about this humane education, there are some misconceptions about humane education. And some say it is a niche subject, and some say it is for young children, and some say it is about animal welfare and all. And being in a higher education, in an institution, how can we achieve this humaneness? Is it possible when we talk about this has to come from the grassroots or from the primary level, and how do we achieve this or how do we address this in higher education institutions? Thank you, sir.
I don't think there is a standard prescription for that. I think ultimately the teacher has to be humane, right from the primary school teacher. The teacher has to be humane. Probably we talk about all these, in disintegration and all that, but in our education, we are all, middle level or youngsters. In our education, we had excellent teachers. We remember them even now. Not all the teachers, excellent teachers. Probably they had some sort of, Dr. Balasubramanian was mentioning about a professor who just brought, you told something about that laboratory and all. Yeah. So I think it has to come from the classroom, basically, because you know that in our first education policy, the so-called Kothari Commission, what is the opening sentence? The destiny of India is shaped in her classrooms. We want those classrooms. Of course, it can be modern, smart classroom and all that. We want that classroom with the teacher and the taught.
Just quickly add to that, I would ask a question. How many of us are compassionate and humane to our colleagues around us in an university? I know I'm provoking this question. We are all so ridden by petty politics of all kinds. We are constantly fragmenting our own selves within the university environment, and you expect students to keep watching you and integrate and become compassionate. I think it's asking a lot.
Yeah, this is Professor Victor Lobo, Vice Chancellor of St. Joseph's University, Bangalore, the only public-private partnership university under USA in the country. We have 11,000 students from all the states and union territories of India and from 15 other countries. We have over 200 universities across the world. We are Jesuit priests. How do we humanize education? 3 aims of education: academic excellence, character formation, and social concern. As Mahatma Gandhi said, developing head, heart, and hands. How do you do that? In the classroom, academic excellence. We've got wonderful teachers, professors, thorough teaching is done. Then character formation, mentoring system, peer teaching, peer learning, mentoring manual. The professors handhold the students and guide them. Social concern. This is exactly we practically see this. We had implemented this in Jesuit institutions in India. Now, medical science has taken and given this compulsory rural practice to medical doctors. All our students have to go to villages. Okay, all our 11th students have to go, like undergrad students have to go to Nelamangala. We have adopted 192 villages. They work in the villages. How to work? They apply their knowledge there. Like economics, chemistry, physics, all apply there, and they come back and write. Our PG students that go to North Karnataka, Raichur, Bijapur, Sindagi, Mungod, they stay in the houses of people. They learn. They may be a rich person or poorest person. Okay? Maybe son of a politician. There are sort of politicians and children studying there from India and abroad. But they have to undergo this. So much the compassion goes when you look at the poor. So much so, the people came back to the university, gathered money, and sent back to those people. Education of those people, children in the villages. Here in Bangalore, our students go and teach in the government schools. We adopted at least 18 government schools. Graveyard diggers' children, slum dwellers' children. Okay, creating awareness, education. Like that, we humanize our children, our students. Can we do this?
Thank you. Thank you so much. It is already time. Before winding up, pardon, I have, you want? So that is the last person. Please.
when you all thrown open this session for the question and answer session, it reminded me that of a Ananda and a Lord Gautam Buddha. Ananda was his very favorite disciple. And after every discourse, he used to the same kind of a thing that we are following. Ananda asked a question to Lord Buddha. Guruji, I am in a dilemma as to how to ask you a question. Lord Buddha also got shocked. They said, what kind of a question that you have asked me? But then, after taking a pause, he said, there are two types of questions. One is upakarak, another one is apakarak. One is constructive, other one is non-constructive. When we were talking about the elephant in a room, this very phrase, I would not say merely two words, it has got several nuances, meanings, connotations. But one thing is very sure, as far as our civilization is concerned, elephant has always stood for a strength and a knowledge. And the position of it has not been deviated. There is another story, as far as this elephant is concerned. And after listening to all of you, I was wondering whether, because different perceptions that you have all, but then it put me at the crossroad. As far as education, human and the education is concerned, whether we are still standing at the position where we are not finding as to what exactly the elephant is. Whether our story is like that of an elephant and the seven blind. Because you are very, very much hopeful about, because it is the gathering of the Vice Chancellors under whom thousands of students are there. And you are looking at us. We are the right persons who would be taking the message to the last person of the, last man of the society as far as the students' body is concerned. So where we are exactly? If this humanness is to be taught to the students, with the elephant in real sense of a term, how we should go about. Ground realities have been brought to our notice. What one perceives and one prescribes that if you follow individually, then you have done your job. It is not the question of individual. As far as we, Vice Chancellors, are concerned, thousands of students, it is the question of thousands of students and future generations. Where we stand as far as human. It's a very important kind of a thing. It's a civilizational gift that has been given to us from ages together. Still we are struggling with it. What is the exact position that you would like to take on this? Education and humanness.
It is becoming, as is said by some of our speakers, it is becoming difficult in the public universities to take up independent things. But the new education policy may throw some happiness to those people who would like to develop this humanness in their universities. But private universities, it is possible, but many of the private universities are also not doing because they have to earn money to do the job, to hold the people together, the staff. Otherwise, they will leave. So, before concluding this session, I would like to say we should admire, appreciate this new university, which has been founded by Sadhguru Sri Madhusudana Sai. He is trying to do all its best, opening all the disciplines and contributing towards the humanness. Maybe we can get inspired, at least some of the private universities where there is a possibility. I wish we should admire, appreciate Sri Sadguru Madhusudan Sai, and if you can, I would like to say that we could give a standing ovation for him in gratitude and inspiration. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, sir. And a heartfelt thanks to all our esteemed panelists for such a thoughtful and enriching session. Your insights have reminded us of the importance of upholding compassion, integrity, and empathy as educators and leaders. We are happy to share that tomorrow there will be an interactive session with Sadhguru at the Ete Shaw Hall Rajeshwari block. Sadhguru will be taking questions from the audience. You may kindly pass on your questions to your respective guest managers by tonight. May we now invite Professor Sri Kantamurthy Sir, Vice Chancellor of the Sri Sathya Sai University for Human Excellence, to kindly felicitate the panelists. First, we have Dr. R. Balasubramanian. Guru Theroji. Our session chair, Dr. Jairam Reddy. And Professor V. N. Rajashekaran Pillai. We request everyone on the dais to kindly come forward for a group photograph. Thank you. We will now break for lunch. The food venue is at Hriday Mandiram ground. Session 2 will commence at 2 p.m. Thank you.
So I will send my, this is my number, I will write my numbers. I will send